We should be live now.
All right. Live on the YouTube. Coming in. Loud and clear. All right. Back out about that. Pull up these topics. All righty. And record. 3, 2, la da da.
Oh, hold on. Let me hit
Oh,
record.
yeah, you good. Yeah. All good, brother. All good.
All right. We're good to go.
What's happening, ladies and gentlemen? We are live. We are official. You already know what time it is, man. Welcome to the Sideline Guys. You are on the sidelines with the Sideline Guys. I'm your host, your favorite neighborhood mediator. You already know your boy, Dwayne. And of course, joined by great panel of hosts. As you know, we got our Philadelphia faithful, our Boston faithful, if you will. So I'd like to welcome Mr. Sammy and Mr. Derek. How you
Yes,
doing,
sir.
fellas?
What's going on?
What's going on?
How y'all doing?
Great, man.
Doing all right, man. Got a lot of talk. It's very interesting getting into the NFL today. A lot of moves in my fantasy football league. So,
Oh yeah,
very
for sure.
Bevy of stuff. So fellas, I guess what a week it has been. Starting with you guys yet again on a roll. Those Eagles.
Hey, what did I say? Prime time, man. They show up for prime time. I said my hot take last week that they were going to win because I didn't have to work at night, and they did. So I'm predicting another win this Sunday.
Oh, you're not working Sunday?
No, not at night. They're going to win.
Hey, man. It's looking great, man. Top of the division. It's lonely at the top, as they say.
Hey,
As
man,
you
it
know.
is what it is. It is what it is.
Oh, Derek, you still seem so unhopeful,
I'm not.
my friend.
I'm not down on them. You know, it is what it is. It's just that I don't even care about talking about the Eagles until once they get to 500, I'll be a little more, jovial in discussing them. Let's just say that.
Understandable, brother. Say less. Well, fellas, let's go ahead and get into some NBA talk real quick. There was a couple of NBA headlines we got in store, and I'd like to really start this thing off by talking about a possible rumor or a scenario that's been out there and discussed amongst people in the basketball world. As everybody knows, Daryl Morey had stepped down from his position with the Rockets, but apparently is now with the Philadelphia 76ers organization running things on that side. So, because of that move, there's talks going around that a certain Houston Rocket star shooting guard could possibly, maybe on the move and packaged to be sent over to Philly, dare I say. Now, if this is again just hypothetically speaking, there's nothing solidified in this. There's nothing completely true about this at all just yet, but it is in talks. It is in the air. It is out there. So, fellas, what are your thoughts? What do you think if this is this something that should happen? Do you think if it happens, what are the possibilities of each team getting better or being the same? What do you guys say?
So what I would say to that is I don't see that happening at all unless just okay. So I'm assuming that the guy that Sixers fans would try to want to move between Embiid and Simmons is probably Simmons, right? I think we could all agree with that just because Embiid seems like the better player. I'm just assuming. Now, that would be
I would move
see that
Embiid before Simmons.
Well, see, that's the thing is though in the modern NBA that Simmons or Embiid is a better player than Simmons is. He just because he can shoot a little. So if you just looking at it from the Sixers perspective, right? I'm assuming they would welcome a move with some assets, some players, and then trying to get Harden. But it doesn't make sense for the Rockets because trying to pair Simmons with Westbrook, I feel like is just not, that wouldn't work. So, okay, you think, all right, if I'm the Rockets, let me go try to trade for Embiid then. Well, if they do that though, then if I'm the Sixers, I mean, granted, Harden is a better player, but I just don't think Harden and Simmons would be that great of a fit, because Simmons, I feel like, has to have the ball in his hands to be good. Whereas I mean, I know he can play off the ball like defense and all that, but I'm saying to be effective on offense, he needs the ball in his hand. Whereas I don't, it's the same as Harden, because if you watch the way
Yeah.
that the Rockets play, right, it's ISO ball with Harden and Westbrook. Granted, they still get their stats, they still get their assists. It's just because they dribble around and then defense starts to try to go towards them, and then PJ Tucker's in the corner, then Macklemore, whoever the hell is in the corner, right? And that's
Mm-hmm.
why they get their stats. But I don't see it working out, just because I don't think, unless they can move Westbrook, I just don't see that working out. Like I just don't see it working out.
So I think so my thing would be that if Philly is going to try to move, if they're going to try to get Harden, hypothetically, do you need to move Simmons at the same time? Because Horford's contract can be moved. Houston needs a
They're
center.
not gonna want that.
It
They're not
doesn't matter
gonna
about
do
what
that.
listen. Houston is already messed up in certain aspects, but Philly is more so the one that is desperate. Houston's not desperate. What do they need to trade
Sure,
Harden for? You see what I'm saying? What do they need to trade him for?
that's what I'm
But
saying. They don't, because he
but
has another year next year.
right. But if hypothetically you wanted to keep Simmons and Embiid for another year, move Horford, and maybe even Harris. I mean, they'd have to get shooters though, either way, because last year they relied on both Horford and Harris to be the primary shooters, with I think Raul
Jay
Nato.
Rich
Yeah,
and
Jay
Jay
Rich. Yeah,
Rich.
yeah, yeah. But I mean, and that was very little with them too. So it's kind of, I'll say it like this: Philly to me is the team that I think needs to go ahead and just embrace a soft rebuild. Like I don't see Embiid and Simmons working out anyway. Like I think we've already seen their peak. Their peak was when Jimmy Butler was there. And that was their window. That was it. If Butler had stayed there, then I would say you could probably, if Butler stayed there and you kept your shooters, I would say Philly is in the prime position for maybe like 3 or 4 years at that point. But there's nothing for them to do at this point. So to me, it would make more sense to just go ahead and do a soft rebuild. But I don't know. I don't think Harden goes to Philly at all. In fact, I think if anything happens, I think that Philly would try to move Embiid to to Houston if you wanted to get, let's say, like a Harden or someone like that. I think that would be the more enticing move, but I don't see that. I don't see Harden going to Philly at all. I see Harden staying in Houston. And I mean, you go after
Yeah,
maybe, let's
at
say,
least
like
next
a,
year.
yeah, at least, and then maybe like go after a DeMarcus Cousins or Dwight Howard or someone like that. Like they're gonna need a center. Like there's no getting around it.
Dwight Howard back in Houston, that would be fun.
Hey man, why not? Why not? I mean, but they need to have a center. So if they could do that, I think Houston's actually in a better position than Philly is. I don't. They're not desperate. They
Yeah,
just
I
they
just
just
don't see
kind
it
of messed
happening.
up with the
I don't.
five.
Yeah, I don't see it. I don't see it happening either. If I'm Houston, I'd rather just retool than
Hmm.
just getting rid of Harden. I just don't see it. I don't think it doesn't sound like from what was going on that Daryl Morey left on the best terms. So he
Yeah,
probably doesn't really have like he probably doesn't have the relationships to try to negotiate a deal anyway. I
yeah,
think that would be more of a move once Harden's a free agent. But then you have to also realize by then what Harden is going to be like 34. So I don't know.
yeah. I don't. He definitely won't be prime Harden at that point.
Hmm.
Well, what we do know for sure is, as far as the Houston side of things go, it appears that they have made their way towards a new coaching hire. So, a quick little fact, compliments of ESPN, is that Paul Silas became the first time NBA head coach. He became a first time NBA head coach back in the year of 1980. 40 years down the line, his son, Steven Silas, looks like he's going to become a first time NBA head coach for those Houston Rockets. So, fellas, really quickly, give your thoughts on what you think about that potential move. And is this good for Steven Silas? Do you think this is a good look? Or what do you guys got to say about that?
He's a Boston guy, man, from Massachusetts. I found that out the other day when I tried to look him up. I think he's a player's guy. I think the guys will like him. Um, Remind me again, where's he going?
Houston.
Houston. Okay, so I think he's a player's guy. He was really well liked in Dallas, from what it seems like. And he's coming from one of the best coaches, probably the NBA has probably ever seen. I'm not saying he's the best, but he's up there. I mean, Rick Carlisle's really good. He's a Hall of Fame coach in my mind. So,
Hmm.
um, yeah, I could see him probably succeeding there. I mean, they're gonna have regular season success for sure. I think he's gonna help in that locker room. I do think that you know the Rockets have to get with the times. Um, in my mind, Robert Covington is not a center or a power. I mean, maybe a power forward, but he's
Neither
not
is
a
PJ
center.
Tucker.
He's not. I think you roll with Westbrook, Harden, Covington, and Tucker, and then you get a center, right? I think DeMarcus would be great if he's healthy, but that's a huge if. Um, Andre Drummond is probably opting out. I thought that would be a lot of if Andre Drummond could, but then again, they don't have enough money for that. But they never should have gotten rid of Capella, in my mind.
Never.
Definitely should not have. Um, so we'll see. We'll see what happens.
I like that they're targeting Nate McMillan and Jeff Hornacek to be on the staff with Silas. I think the staff that whole coaching staff is going to be very interesting to watch. They're going to be very interesting to watch. So I like it. I like it. I don't. I know he's from the Rick Carlisle coaching tree, but if I think Houston is not far off from where they need to be in terms of personnel. I'm not saying that they're gonna come out the West and win an NBA title, but I don't think they need to. I think there are some people that were panicking when they got bumped out of the playoffs. I don't know that is so much of a panic time right now. They have a couple of pieces that they could probably move, like Daniel House, PJ Tucker, Robert Covington. Those are guys they can get value for. So see what you can do. See what you can do because you're not. Look, honestly, you're not going to be able to move Harden or Westbrook. Those contracts are not going anywhere. So try to see what you can get for the other guys and retool. Like I said, I think Horford is a very good option. He's a really good option. He's someone that even if they didn't want to start, which I think, I mean, he's honestly in being in Philly, he's had less playing time, so it probably would be a good time to for him to start. But even if he's not starting, if you were to like go after DeMarcus Cousins and then go after Horford, I think you'd be pretty good. Ennis Cantor might opt out of his contract. You see what I'm saying? Like
I wouldn't get mad
I
if
don't
he
think
did.
yeah, but I don't think Houston is far off either way. But I think they have options at the five. It's just about what takes place, but
Hey,
they,
Cantor,
they
I
could reach
think would be a nice
best.
fit there. In
I think he
Houston.
would too. I think he would too.
They don't care about defense, so
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
he'd be a good fit.
Yeah, man.
Interesting.
But I mean, they I think they're not far off from being able to go far in the playoffs. Let's just say
Okay.
that.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah.
All
I
right.
think they
Well,
just need a good center, and they're
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
totally agreed, fellas. Well, speaking of, playoffs, and as we know, we've seen the end of the NBA season, even with its start and stop midway due to the coronavirus. And now there have been talks on the restart of the new season upcoming for this year. Talks have been discussed that likely they're going to try to get this thing started prior to Christmas Day. So, fellas, how are you feeling? Are you excited to know that we just might be getting basketball on Christmas Day? Or are you kind of resentful and kind of ready for them to just start it at the top of the next year?
I so you know how I felt about this season resuming, right? Like I wasn't a fan of it. Mainly because of the schedule being for this coming season being chopped down. If they're able to start it around Christmas time, you're not losing too much time going into the following season. So I think they could do a shorter season starting around Christmas, and then just go. I mean, you don't even need to have a All Star game at that point, right? There's not. There wouldn't even be an All Star game at that point, I don't think. But I'm not mad at it. I mean, that's what 60 games, I think, roughly, a little more.
A
I'm
little bit.
fine with it. I'm fine with it. I just I don't know. It's a fast turnaround from the finals, which is gonna be weird. 'Cause that's not something I'm used to. But
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it. I think there's a lot of stuff that's going to take place anyway. The I'm looking forward to the draft. So I don't know, man. This off season is
Whoa!
gonna be very
Breaking
short.
news! Breaking news! I don't know if anyone. Sorry to interrupt. This literally just came out like a few minutes ago that Trevor Lawrence has COVID. So
Shocking.
little, little.
Shocking. I look. It's going. This is the exact reason why I don't think that the NFL is going to have a full season at this point. If college can't,
I don't know, man.
college
Well, college
and
is
pro,
less.
it's
College is. I don't know if you guys have been seeing this. That the games, right? That
mhm,
if you've been watching any of the games, some stadiums have been like limited in seating, but like I don't know if anyone saw the Cotton Bowl game or
no.
the Red River rivalry. Sorry, between Oklahoma and Texas. There's no way that stadium was at like it was probably at three quarters, maybe half capacity. People were so close to each other, not wearing masks. I mean, like college football has less of a for sure. They have less of a like restrictions when it comes to this thing. So yeah, I
Yeah,
think they.
this is gonna that and see even with the NBA, like I don't know like how you're able to properly evaluate talent for the draft, right? So like the draft, I think is
Mm,
gonna be like next month. Like with all this going on, I don't know the NBA itself. They know what they're doing in terms of doing this blocking, but that's actually something that I never saw in terms of an update. Are we having these bubbles for this coming season? Like if we're gonna start in December, where what was like, where do we play? You see what I'm saying? Like, I know this is no way they're gonna have fans in the arenas, right? There's no way. Like,
Mhm.
this is way too close. This is way too close. I don't see how you do it. I know the NFL came out this week and said that the Super Bowl is going to have, I think, like 20% capacity and all somewhere in that range, and then like in the stadium, in the stands, uh the fans will be in like these little tube things or something like that, with wearing, with them having to wear masks and stuff like that. I like, just in general across all sports, I don't know how all this is going to go back to full capacity anytime soon. So like,
That's true.
if the NBA is gonna come back in December, like, I'm less concerned about a start date than I am about knowing what the location is for the bubble. That's
Yeah,
my main concern.
and a little. I know we don't really talk about this sport on the podcast, but definitely I'm trying to integrate some things. I talked to a buddy of mine that works for an organization. He's pretty well connected throughout, and he said that um, that hockey is going to try to come back at full capacity. Now,
When?
I don't see that happening
This coming season?
this in starting in January. Yeah.
Wow. I
Yeah, I
don't
don't.
I don't know. I don't know how that works. I really don't. I really don't, because this is gonna end up delaying all this stuff. Like, unless there's a mandate, a government mandate of like, wear a mask and all that stuff. I don't know how you can have full capacity. I feel uncomfortable at a store, so like, going to a sporting event isn't going to really be, too comfortable. I'm not going to anything in the next year or two. But I don't know. That's just my main concern with the NBA. Like, are you gonna do bubbles? Are you doing multiple? Are you doing one central bubble like you did for the playoffs, or are you gonna do multiple? Like, that's my main concern. I don't even care about if it started in December. I could care less if it started in December or January. It doesn't matter to me. If we're gonna have a season either way, but it's just about like how that goes.
Yeah, I'm hoping that they find a way to do this. I hope. I miss going to games. I miss being there. I don't know. I have this running. Oh,
Yeah, so we go.
I think
You
he
you
got
go.
kicked out. I'm sure he'll join back, but I'll finish what I was saying. I have this running theory that I think the virus or the what they call it, the vaccine is going to come out like right around election day or like shortly after, just to make whoever got elected into office look good. That's my running theory. So we'll see if I'm wrong.
Look, either way, probably, but I don't even see how I don't even see how a vaccine would help at this point, for the simple fact that from what I understand, they're not even like completely done with the trial versions of it, right? So I don't know how you do any of that stuff right now. Like, to come
And
out with something like that right now, and then you have to have a vast amount of it uh to be able to provide it for everyone. I just don't know how all this gets fast tracked at this point. So the NBA is going to be very intriguing, simply for the fact that I don't know what their plans are, but I have full confidence in the league, knowing, seeing what we just saw over the last, what,
mhm.
2 or 3 months. I have complete confidence in Ab Silver and what the league in general
Oh yeah,
is.
I have full trust in him. I think that I could see a situation where even if they want to have some capacity, um, I think. Let me ask you this: how interesting would this be? So you know how hockey games, right? They have plexiglass,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
Um, what if they put up plexiglass. No, you probably run into a lot of injury then with players diving out of bounds. I was
Yeah,
wondering, like,
but
but
that's not
like,
a bad idea because
what
think
if
about
you
it.
put the plexiglass like in row 10 or something, and no fans can sit that
Sit in
close, and then
front, yeah, yeah. That
that could
that could
work.
work. That could work. But at the same time, it in like so I'm a germaphobe, so I start thinking about it in different ways, right? Yes, the
Okay.
plexiglass would be good right there, but guess what? All it does, like let's say there's someone in the audience that has COVID.
Okay.
All that is going to do is push the germs up and then circulate in the air from there and come down because AC is blowing through the building. So it doesn't matter. In my eyes, it doesn't matter. You can have plexiglass, you can have all this other stuff there. It's still going to be present. Like so it to me, I think the NBA would be better suited to do what they
The
just
bubble
did.
again.
Yes, I don't. I would love to go to a game. Like I don't want to sound like I'm against going to games. I love going to games, but if I had to sacrifice going to see the Celtics play this coming season in person just for the league to be able to continue to run and we have these games, I'm fine with it. I'm fine with it. The problem is just like logistically, what do you do with bubbles? That's it. That's to me, that's the biggest issue. Outside of that, I don't see what the NBA has to worry about.
All right. So legit, we'll see. We're on standby. Like I said, nothing's completely solid and locked in. However, time will tell on what the NBA is doing. So just stay tuned with us. Keep it locked because as we find out, as you guys find out, we'll definitely be here to discuss it and see when everything's locked in and official. So, fellas, real quick, let's get into some NFL talk, which is the main meat of what we're
Yes,
talking
sir.
today. So, well, very interesting week 7, I would say. There was
Yeah.
only one unbeaten left unstanding. There's one left standing, and I must ask you, fellas, are the Pittsburgh Steelers the best team in the NFL right now?
Uh, hmm, right
No.
now, I
No.
think the Chiefs. I still think it's the Chiefs.
Yeah. I don't think record tells everything.
Hmm.
I mean, the Steelers look really good. I'm not going to say they're
Hmm.
not, but there are other teams that look better. They just optically
That's
look
true.
better. That's so
Almost
to me.
lost to the
I don't.
Eagles.
Yeah, yeah. I, listen. I just don't pay attention to record specifically when we're talking about who's better. Like I think you could have a team that has a worse record that could actually be a better team. Like Sammy said, the Chiefs. I mean, they just got Le'Veon Bell. So, you see what I'm saying? Like the Bucks just got Antonio Brown, and that they look. I mean, just think about it. You have Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, and Antonio Brown on top
And
of.
Rob Gronkowski
See, I was gonna say on top of Gronk, but like, and then you have Leonard Fournette. Like
and
that
Ronald
team.
Jones is having his best year of his career.
Yeah. So
Can't forget your
this
favorite running back, Shady McCoy.
Yeah,
he's there too. I forgot about that.
he's
But
there. He's not really
Bring
yeah,
doing
him,
anything.
bring
he's
He's
him.
there.
there.
He's just sitting on the bench. That's fine, man. But yeah, I think that there are. I like a lot of teams this year. A lot of teams look good this year, and including your Titans, Dwayne. You guys are you're killing it. So I don't downplay what the Steelers are doing. The Steelers look phenomenal. I mean, we made what's his name? Claypool. We made him look like
Like he
Hall of
was an
Famer.
all-star.
Yeah, so I mean, but Ben Roethlisberger. I had my doubts about him last year coming back. I knew last year there was talks. There's really been talks about him retiring for like the last 3 or 4 years, I think. I think he's even kind of like hinted at it, but he actually looks pretty good. He looks pretty good. So I don't know. And then you can't even forget about the Seahawks. Seahawks,
Lost a tough one.
they did, they did. So I don't know.
But
This
I
is a
think the Cardinals are really good. I
they
think
are
no one's really talking about them. They're pretty good.
Mhm.
they are really good. They're really good. And I don't know. I there are a lot of teams that uh I think you could just have in that conversation. I don't think anyone will be wrong about saying the Steelers are the best team in the league. I just personally don't think they are though.
Agreed. I can understand that, fellas. Sammy, what about your intakes? Did you get some any extra thoughts to add to that?
Um, Sorry. No. Like I said, I still think the Chiefs are the best. I don't know because I've been saying I'm gonna ride with I'm gonna ride with my like what I've been saying. Who's gonna go through the Super Bowl? Still think it's the Ravens. Haven't really talked about them getting Yannick. Their defense just got better, and there
Yo,
was some crazy statistic that the best pick that they gave up was like a third or a fifth, and they ended up with like Calais Campbell, Marcus Peters, Yannick. I mean, that whoever their GM is, I want him on the Eagles because like that dude has done a masterful job. I mean, they just got better, and they were already really good. So,
yeah,
I mean, gosh, their front line is what Yannick. They have Calais Campbell,
Calais Campbell.
Brandon Williams. Still got Derek Wolf. I mean,
Yeah, yeah. They
geez,
have a
that
lot of
team
power
is
there, man. They have a lot of
a
power.
lot. And they have some good linebackers, Patrick Queen, Shaq.
Patrick Queen
I
looks
mean,
phenomenal.
oh my God. I mean, that
He looks
team,
phenomenal.
they got Marlon Humphrey and Marcus
Yeah.
Peters. Still got Jimmy Smith. I mean, that and their offense is. I mean, this is if I were them, right? This is I would probably go after a wide receiver in the draft. But man, they are good.
I think
And
the
who
only
knows if Des
problem,
Bryant can do anything? If he can at least come in, show that
yeah,
he can still do stuff, just to
yeah.
give them a red zone threat, right? Other than
Mhm.
Mark Andrews. I mean, my gosh, that and Lamar
What do you
Jackson
expect from him?
isn't even
What do you,
playing.
what do you
We're getting
expect from him?
that don't jump ahead there.
Like
Okay,
I
okay.
said, I think
We're
I
getting
think they're going to the Super
My
Bowl. I
bad.
said I
we're
still
getting
think
to
it's
that. We're
I
getting to
think it's still going to be the Seahawks and the Ravens, like I've been saying.
The only
interesting.
thing I think the Ravens have to worry about are the Chiefs. Like that's literally the only thing they have to even worry about. I
And they
don't
play
think.
Pittsburgh this weekend, though, so
Yeah,
we'll
that's gonna be a
see.
great game. That's gonna be a great game. I'm looking forward to that. I can't add anything else to that.
Well, just don't forget, Derek, not the team that also knocked them out last year when they were number one seed. But that's
Oh
not
yeah.
here nor
Oh
there.
yeah.
So
Oh yeah.
therefore,
Yeah.
ladies and
That's
gentlemen,
true.
I
No,
would say
that's true.
let's go on. I'm glad that Derek he tried to jump ahead of me a little bit there.
Yeah.
Sammy did as well. But this is transitioning to my next quick subject for you, gentlemen. Interesting thought. We saw two teams make some interesting acquisitions, and some call them upgrades, some just call them acquisitions that are X factors, if you will, on terms of if they excel, they're that much more dangerous. And if not, it's a toss up and it's just, hey, it was a great ad and it is what it is. So, fellas, between the Tampa Bay Buccaneers adding Mr. Antonio Brown and the Baltimore Ravens adding Mr. Dez Bryant to their squad, fellas, which two receivers of the two do you see making a bigger impact for their team?
So you said between Antonio and Des Bryant, was it?
That is correct.
I don't see Des really doing much. I mean, he's on the practice squad. He's been out longer and he's coming off what a torn is it ACL or Achilles or something.
Yeah, I
Uh,
think so.
I
Achilles.
I don't see him. Yeah, he hasn't played in a few years. And I was actually watching his. He's been putting out like these workout tapes to make him look good.
Mhm.
Um, and granted, I know he's a lot more athletic than me. I know that, but it doesn't look like he's moving with much speed. He's
Yeah.
kind of just big, and the guy he's working out with is like this little
Small.
guy. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't. I definitely think it's Antonio. I mean, we all saw, right? Antonio hadn't played for like a while, and then he gets into like the Patriots after 1 week, right?
Yeah.
Falls out.
Yeah.
I definitely think it's Antonio. I think he's going to make the big, and just coupled with the fact that Evans is going to get, he's. I know Evans isn't playing well. Apparently, he's not healthy. He's not getting looked at. Which, by the way, traded Mike Evans for Austin Eckler in a fantasy league. But
I'm
I
still wondering if I need to trade Mike Evans.
I I think he's going to do really well this week, just because there's no Godwin,
Yeah.
um, and they're gonna play the Giants.
Yeah. Everybody's gonna eat in that game.
I would say, I would say, um, that just because they're gonna get, I just think Antonio, just because Evans and Godwin are just gonna get a lot of attention. Um,
Yeah.
you can't really double now anyone on that. I
Yeah.
mean, there's so much talent, offensive, and they're actually really good defensively. I don't know. They might make some noise. Um, who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe they're better. I don't know. We'll see. They're really good, man. They're really good. I think it's gonna be between them and Seattle. I do think Seattle's still a little better. Um, but we'll see.
See, my whole thing is like I know to answer your question, Dwayne, is it'll be Antonio Brown because of the fact that we like Sammy said, Dez is going to be on the practice squad. But even if he like makes the main roster, I think he'll be very effective because of his red zone threat. But here's a real question, like to branch off of that. Antonio Brown still has another court date. Like if he were to get charged with I forget what that case is about, but if he were to get charged, like I don't even know if he's gonna. My whole question is, does he make the whole season? Because I don't know if he's even going to be available to be a threat. You see what I'm saying? Like that's my main question about Antonio Brown because I know in terms of what he's able to do on the field, for sure he's gonna be crazy. But I don't know. I think it's gonna be very interesting to see what he does bring to the table because Tampa Bay is gonna be stupid. If Antonio Brown plays this season, they're gonna be stupid this year. I mean, and they took a couple of hits uh, on their team already, but yeah, they're gonna be phenomenal this year. If they can keep going, they're gonna be good. They'll make some noise.
Very interesting you guys say that. Personally, I am one to think quite on the other side of the spectrum here. I'm actually going to go with Des Bryant. I feel like there's something in me
I know
saying,
why.
I know with Achilles, I know Achilleses are always tricky, but there's
Yeah.
something like, here's the thing. Before that Achilles injury, Des already had something to prove, not
Hmm.
in terms of talent, but in terms of the stench that Dallas left over him as
Right. Right.
he's that TO vibe of like he's a locker room killer, he's a team vibe killer,
Cancer to the
you
team.
know, cancer to the
Yeah.
team. Yet
Yeah.
comes to New Orleans, rejuvenated, refreshed. People were automatically excited just because anytime you link up with Drew Brees and you give him another weapon, you already
Yeah.
know there's going to be a lot of trouble. But unfortunately, it was met by an Achilles tear to where we never really got to see what that could have been.
I was excited to see him with Drew Brees.
I was as well,
Yeah.
just to see how that would have factored in, just for him to show. And so here we are now, yet another dynamic quarterback. May not be Drew Brees, but is probably arguably just as good in a sense of the fact that he's a double dual threat. The
Mm-hmm.
fact that he's proven that he can throw the ball when need be, but is also one heck of an athlete that can evade and can run and escape, which, because of his primary focus from
Mm-hmm.
defenses, allows the floor to open up for a guy like Dez to prove what he can still do.
Well, I see where you're coming from, because I like that's actually why I was kind of at the beginning kind of like iffy too, because I like that point of view is for sure valid. My whole thing is just, it's a question mark on both of them, because does Dez actually get to the main roster?
Mhm.
Does Antonio Brown, have the, and will he play, one, and two, is he okay with not being targeted heavy? Because
Mhm.
that's what Bruce Arians alluded to beginning of this week, right? Like, he said Mike Evans didn't even catch a ball until the fourth quarter, which I felt that in my fantasy team, like
Mhm. Yeah.
I like that hurt. But like, it's that's the main thing with him. Like, is he okay with not getting those targets? Because Tom Brady has a lot of guys to target out there, and
Yeah.
all these weapons, and that's with, you have like a ton of weapons on the receivers. You talking about in the backfield, that there's a lot of things he can go with on that side too. So it's like Antonio Brown might not. I don't even know how many targets he was averaging in Pittsburgh. I can't even talk about his one game in New England, but I mean, dude was. I wish I had him on my fantasy team that day. I'll tell you that. I wish I had him that day.
As
But
do a
if
lot of
if
people.
he's, yeah, but I mean, he's easily a deep threat. Like, he's a deep threat. Mike Evans is a deep threat. Chris Godwin's a deep threat. So they're like like Sammy said, defenses won't be able to double team them this year. Like, that's gonna be hard. But
Mhm.
we'll see. We'll see. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a posing question that we will find out 1 week at a time. Now, in terms of what you mentioned with Tampa Bay, that's why I don't really choose Tampa Bay in terms of Super Bowl. No matter how many times the more they
Yeah.
load themselves, the more I actually go against that possibility because of
Yeah.
so many targets. Because it reminds me of, again, Derek, I told you this in text, reminds me of your Philadelphia Eagles some time ago with all
Which
the
ones?
weapons they had when they had Michael Vick, Vince
Oh
Young.
yeah,
They
yeah,
had,
yeah.
I believe that was, what was that?
Jeremy Maclin,
Jeremy Maclin, Deshaun Jackson.
Sean
Then
Jackson,
they have
LaShawn McCoy.
Namdi Asomugha, who they signed on
Mm-hmm.
defense. And what did he
Mm-hmm.
do? Right? All that money. And then, of course, who was that lineman from that Packers Super Bowl team that came straight to you guys as well? I believe, uh, gosh, I can't think of him right now. It was a lineman
I
that
don't even
came
know.
fresh off of the Super Bowl championship with the Green Bay Packers, and he ended up right there in Philly. And it was just that accusation on top of Namdi Asomugha, and then the weapons you guys already had people automatically putting you guys right there in Super Bowl contention. And Derek, I know you remember the hype, and I also know you remember how the season turned out.
You know what? I say like this. A lot of times when bad things happen, I'm able to kind of like put it out my head, just so I could like move on. But
Yeah.
yeah, I know. Yeah, it's there's been several times that's happened.
Oh yeah, yeah. Another
Yeah.
example out of a team that is not your team. Another
Yeah.
example that I bring up is the Cincinnati Bengals.
Oh yeah.
The year
Oh,
when they
the
had
Browns.
Terrell Owens. The Browns, more recent example. Tons
Yeah.
of weapons, tons of weapons. So it just, I mean, and then the division is already showing how competitive it is.
Mm-hmm.
Have Carolina right now, who is on top of Atlanta currently. If they win, you already know that puts them up.
When they win. There's no way they lose this game. Atlanta's
I
allergic
don't,
to winning.
I don't hold it out. I don't hold it out. But like I said, we'll see what happens. Nonetheless, you have that, and again, New Orleans is still New Orleans, so
Hmm.
it's a lot that can factor
Oh
into what's going
yeah,
on
they're
here.
they're they're in a tough division. There's no easy way to win in that division for any team, in all honesty.
Yes,
I
yes.
mean, let me not even say that the Falcons aren't winning the division. That's not even a possibility for them.
They're
So
cooked.
it's a 3-team race.
It's a
That's
three-team race. They are
that's really it.
cooked, ready to go in
Yeah,
the oven and
yeah,
be
yep,
consumed for the next year. It's okay.
yep. As
Uh,
as every year for them for some reason.
so, but yes, those are all great examples, and that just would leads me to just be a little skeptical, and we'll see on time how it goes. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but I
Yeah,
just don't have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in my radar in terms of just because the weapons are there. That's all well and good, but at some point you got to feed the ones that are there, So it's killing people on fantasies right now, man. Like I
man.
don't have, I have this guy. He should be balling out because Tom Brady's throwing to him, but he's not. So
Yeah,
the other weapons to
it
feed, and that's the dangerous side.
that definitely hurts in fantasy. I mean, there's a lot of like I said I have Mike Evans, but I also have I have Chris Godwin in one other league. So but you know that I have in one league I have Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf, and the struggle that I have with that is like who's going to actually get targeted?
Mhm.
Because guess what I did this past week? I started DK Metcalf over Lockett for the simple fact that in previous weeks Lockett was still playing well, but he wasn't getting targeted heavy. And guess what happens the first play of the game? He gets this long ball, like long bomb from Russell Wilson. So like it's a tricky game to play. That like it's almost I'm at the point now where in fantasy I don't know that it's smart. I don't know if it's smart to only get one receiver. Like if you have so there are multiple teams with multiple receivers, right? You have
Mhm.
Seattle, you have Tampa Bay.
Mhm.
What are the teams like that? Baltimore. Um, you can say even Pittsburgh now. Uh, those are the teams that have receivers that could be targeted heavy one week and then not targeted heavy the next. New England is a team that I've noticed is you can't lean on any one receiver or running back because it's mainly based upon game plan with Bill Belichick in terms of who's going to get what I'm saying, like who's going to get targeted heavy. So it's like like you can't get anyone on the Patriots to be reliable because one week they'll have big points for you, and the next week they're not registering anything. So that's the I think that's one aspect of fantasy football that doesn't get talked about a lot is the targets um in terms of who you're going to play week by week. It's really interesting. I do hate it though. I do hate it because it's hard to distinguish who's going to actually. And I am pissed I didn't put Tyler Lockett in my lineup last week. Now one league I had him, but in the other league, I chose Metcalf over Lockett. I regret that. I think no, I lost that one. I lost that one. I lost that one because I didn't put Lockett in. That's what it was.
I'm telling you, man, it's it's
Yeah.
it's yeah, it's a tricky cause when that happens. So I mean, take it as a Titans fan. That's what I know what you mean. I've had that struggle
Oh yeah.
before when trying to pick, and when AJ Brown took that sore in his rookie year, I knew okay, he's the guy I can always count on to grab first
Yeah.
because Corey Davis is a guy who's a lot like Lockett. One day he could ball out, and then have a stretch of games where he's okay or mediocre or non-existent.
Mm-hmm.
And on that team, you never know. Is John Smith going to get the ball? You know AJ is going to get it. You
For
know
sure.
Derrick Henry's going to get it. But in terms of other receivers, you're like, okay, they have the talent there. It's just who's going to get it outside of AJ. Will it be
Yeah.
Adam Humphries? Will it be So I can understand that. And to my fantasy players out there, you just have to definitely pay attention to who leads in receiving for sure. So, example with Carolina, who also has quite a bit of sneaky weapons.
They do.
Robbie Anderson is clearly their number one target right now, which is weird because DJ Moore is normally a guy. So you're not wrong with either one because I have DJ Moore. DJ
Yeah.
Moore is producing. He may
Yeah.
not be leading the league in receiving, but he is producing. He gets touchdowns. So Robbie Anderson is giving you receiving yards and he's killing it. So you can't go wrong with either choice. I wouldn't necessarily recommend having the both of them on the same lineup, but
If you're able to though, if you're able to get both guys like on that are on one team, like say for example, someone was able to get Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. Like I don't think that's a poor strategy. Um it's just it's really horrible when Mike Evans doesn't produce. Like that's the only thing because it's like you could put one guy in flex and then one guy on one of the main receiving spots, but if you do that and then someone's on your bench that is balling out, then you're screwed. So it's like you're damned if you do, damned if you don't, because it's like what do you do?
what do you do? Yeah,
What do you do? It's
it's
based upon matchups, really. The best thing you can do is just look at who's matched up, who's on defense and see what if you know it like that,
it's a gamble.
that's the only way you can go.
Speaking of gamble, I would like to get both your fantasy thoughts and your realistic thoughts on this next subject.
Oh yeah.
As we know, yet another top talent in the NFL suffered a major loss. The Cleveland Browns lost Odell
Oof.
Beckham Jr. to an ACL tear. Unfortunately, in the process of getting this from an overthrown ball that was intercepted by Baker Mayfield, in which all he was trying to do was make a play, and as a result, got hurt in the process. So now they were losing when he was in the game. However, when
Hmm.
he went out the game, they actually ended up coming back and winning the game. Now, arguably, that could be a case of bad Cincinnati, bad Cincinnati, good Cleveland,
Yeah.
or it just two, young teams or two should be better than what they are teams. There's
Hmm.
a lot of different arguments you can make in the case of why Cleveland won that game per se, and more so did Cincinnati just lose the game. But I would like to know overall this impact. How do you feel this impacts fantasy owners and the Cleveland Browns in losing Odell Beckham?
Man, if you had Odell on your fantasy team as one of your primary receivers, that's I don't know. It's weird because that's another team where you go get someone that you think is gonna ball out, and then the other one gets targeted heavy, right? So you got Odell and Jarvis Landry there. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? Like it is. I don't know. Fantasy wise, I like. Let me just say this, not even just from a fantasy perspective, but this season has to be the one for the books in terms of stars that we have lost to injury.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's the entire season or a chunk of the season. Like this has to be a record, bro. This has to be a record because it seems like almost every week. We're at week 8 now. It seems like every week there's been someone that has had a catastrophic injury. You know what I'm saying? Like it's very weird. And I hope Odell is good, like, moving forward. I don't know. So like here's the thing. Do you move on from Odell or do you move on from Baker Mayfield? Because I think the biggest thing would be moving from Baker Mayfield. Like that's to me that's the most glaring one because I don't see how you have Odell, Jarvis, Kareem Hunt, Nick Chubb, who Nick Chubb is went down to. Like, I don't know how you have all these weapons just on your offense, not even talking about your defense. Like how you have all these guys and then all of a sudden you can't produce. This to me is a Baker Mayfield issue. Like, yeah, you could say should what happened with Odell, like it probably could have been avoided, I guess, like, but it's a little bit like doing a little too much. You know what I'm saying? Like from Baker's standpoint, point of view, like I don't know, I don't know. And that was the first drive of that game, right?
It was, I believe. I know it happened
Yeah.
early, very, very early in the game. Now, me myself, based off of what Shannon Sharp had mentioned, Odell wasn't really much of a factor this year for the Browns, as you would
Hmm.
think, right? As you would
Right.
hope. So, but also, if you're using the eye test, it's clear that Baker and Odell just don't have a connection with each other.
Yeah.
They don't mesh, they don't click.
Yeah.
And
If I'm not mistaken, I think Jarvis Landry has thrown more touchdowns to Odell than Baker has this season. If I'm not mistaken, I
it
could be
seems it
mistaken,
seems that
but
way.
it's very close.
Very close. And
They
and I
shouldn't
was
even be close to each other. That's the problem.
yeah.
It shouldn't even be a close thing.
It shouldn't. And to see, I would say bad Baker, but again, after Odell went out, they won the game. Baker and the crew balled out
For
to make
sure.
that
For
comeback.
sure.
So again, you can argue, was that a case of comeback Browns, good comeback Browns, or bad Cincinnati, but Joe Burrow's doing his thing as well. So I mean, again, both defenses were torched. It's kind of one of those things you could go back on, but Baker may not be playing stellar. He may not be playing like Russell Wilson or playing like Kyler Murray or some of these other young pieces that you see balling out. But they have a winning record. They won that game after
Hmm.
Odell's injury. Uh, I would say, I mean, this ACL injury definitely changes everything now because now the sad part about this is prime Odell, and he probably won't be the same from this point on. He'll still produce, but in terms of burst, speed, the things that he had prior to this injury, he may not be the same now.
I don't know, because let's say this, between an ACL injury and an Achilles injury, the one you would want is the ACL one.
This is true.
So I don't, if I'm not mistaken, he injured his ankle in New York, right?
That is true. I
I
believe
think
it
that was
was an
actually when they were
ankle
playing the
injury.
Eagles. Yeah. Um, I don't expect this to slow him down because I've had a torn Achilles. It takes a minute to get over that. Like if and I'm not a pro athlete, so pro athletes are able to, they have access to everything. Like the ability to come back from that is significantly harder than the ACL. It is significantly harder. So I think he'll be fine moving forward. I think so. Let me ask you this. Let's say Sam Darnold was in Cleveland and not Baker Mayfield. You think they still be having these issues?
So I haven't paid a lot of attention to Sam Darnold because of the team that he plays for, to be
Yeah,
completely
rightfully so.
honest. And it's just, I mean, to be honest, had he been on a better team, I'd pay more attention to him. I know he's good. I definitely know that. I remember in his
Yeah.
rookie season, there were some specs with the eye test where I was like, he's got potential. He can be
Yeah,
he
for
can be
sure.
stellar.
For sure.
But again, he's contaminated by the funk known as the New York Jets, and because they stink, it makes him look like he stinks, even if he
Yeah.
doesn't. So if you swap the pieces, it's possible he could, but I wouldn't be surprised. Like I said, I mean, you need a change of scenery.
Hmm.
Don't necessarily know if Cleveland might be the best change of scenery for a
It'll be a
Sam
step
Darnold
up.
because
For
of the
Sam Darnold.
weapons.
Yeah.
Because of the weapons, yes. So because
Well,
of the weapons, I could argue and say it'd be about the same.
Crowder is good in New York, man. I mean, like for him to be able to produce with what they have,
Yes.
he needs to get out. he needs to go because you see Robbie Anderson, what he was doing last year in New York, and now with him in Carolina, he is balling out.
Falling out.
Like
I'm telling you.
for guys to be able to produce under such horrible um situations, like I, I would like to see like if Crowder's able to get moved, where he would go, how he would do, because I don't see how Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold is he's doing his best, but I think if you swap them out, we'd be seeing a lot of what we're seeing in Cleveland and in New York. I don't know that Crowder would be having such a phenomenal season. You know what I'm saying? Like
Hmm.
if that's Baker Mayfield and that's his back, that's his quarterback. So I don't know. I think Cleveland needs to go ahead and move on from Baker Mayfield. I think we've seen what he's capable of being,
Hmm.
and maybe you're right. Maybe this is a need for a change of scenery. They, you know, what will be interesting? What if they went and got Ryan Fitzpatrick?
A lot of people have mentioned that.
Be, have they? Because that would be a phenomenal move. That'd be phenomenal if you could get Ryan Fitzpatrick in there.
But you see, now this is where, because here's the thing: Fitzpatrick's been mentioned, but you have a city in Dallas who also clearly seems to
No,
need a QB right now.
no, they don't need a
Dalton
QB.
is
They need
not.
it. No. Dalton isn't
Dalton
their
is not.
issue. He's not the best, but he's not their issue. Their defense is an issue. Their coaching staff. You remember? But remember when
Yeah,
when
it
Mike
is.
McCarthy got hired? I told you there's no way in hell. There's no way in hell because you
Point well
can't sit
taken.
here. You can't tell me that you have Aaron Rodgers and you're like average with Aaron Rodgers. Matt LaFleur goes to Green Bay and they're balling out. I I, I don't know. They're Ryan Fitzpatrick in Dallas wouldn't move the needle at all. Like, I mean, their
For
defense is
those
just that trash.
receivers, for those
For the
receivers,
for the receivers, yeah, for the receivers, it would be good. For Ezekiel Elliott, it would be good because he could have a quarterback that is a threat on the pass that would, you know, allow him to be able to get loose as well. But I don't know. I don't see it, bro. I don't see it. Like, would it make sense for Ryan Fitzpatrick to go to Dallas? Sure. But I don't see that doing anything for them in terms of like being able to win the NFC East. I don't see it. Strength of schedule for
agreed.
the Eagles is significantly better than Dallas. The Eagles are actually getting healthier while while the Cowboys are getting worse.
Yeah,
While
there's a
they're
lot.
and again they're getting more they're dealing with more injuries by the week as well. Like I don't see it. I don't see it. Plus the coaching staff is just significantly better in Philly than Dallas. So
It's truth, man. I mean, no matter how you flip it, it's a thing to talk about. But I mean, in terms of, yeah, I do like the idea. If you took Fitzpatrick and you brought him to Cleveland, but again, it depends on Cleveland. It seems like right now they seem to be stuck on their guy being Baker. We may be talking otherwise, but
yeah.
it's up to the organization at the end of the day, and the organization, especially while they have this winning record, they seem to be
Oh, they're gonna rock.
all
They're
out
gonna rock with them for
with
real,
Baker.
for
So
sure.
no matter if it was Darnold, no matter if it was Fitzpatrick, no matter who you throw over there, Baker's still going to be your starter. They don't seem like they're planning on trading him anytime soon. So time will tell. We'll see what happens as the time goes along. So that goes to show. Now, speaking of quarterbacks,
Yeah.
I'd actually like to transition to a team, my favorite team, people that know, Tennessee Titans land. Came across a very interesting article on the Tennessee Titans website
Hmm.
about Mr. Ryan Tannehill and how he measures up against all of the franchise starting quarterbacks in Tennessee history. just in the first 16 starts.
Oh, this will be interesting.
This is going to be interesting. So, ladies and gentlemen, I am going to read to you the top 7 rankings from top to bottom. The statistics are going to cover completions, touchdowns, interceptions, quarterback rating, and so much more. So, coming in right now at number 1 is Ryan Tannehill. Literally
Crazy, man.
400. Here, check this out. Ryan Tannehill right now in his first 16 starts, y'all, is the number 1 ranked quarterback in Tennessee Titans franchise history. Off of this right now, get this: 473 pass attempts, 327 completions, with a completion percentage of 69.1, 4,188 yards passing, 37 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, with a quarterback rating of 116.5.
That's crazy.
Ryan Tannehill, ladies and gentlemen. The same Miami Ryan Tannehill is right here in Tennessee, balling out as the starter within his first 16 starts. So this is counting from the time he started to now.
Who would have ever thought we'd be talking about Ryan Tannehill this way? Like, ever.
Exactly. So check this out. This is where it gets interesting, right? This is where it's gonna get interesting. So I promise you, as we go down this list, you're gonna be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this. So coming in at number 2 is the quarterback that Ryan Tannehill replaced, Marcus Mariota, with 506 pass attempts, 310 completions, a completion percentage of 61.3, pass yardage at 3,743 passing yards, 23 touchdowns, 15 interceptions, with a rating. Now, this is where it's a dramatic drop. His overall rating within first 16 starts is 86.8.
Wait, hold on. Tannehill is 160 what?
116.5
Oh, 116.5.
as a quarterback rating. In his
And this is
16
across 16 games. The
Yes,
first 16 games.
So from the time he took the keys to this point,
That's
this is
wild,
what he's
bro.
averaging in his first 16 starts.
And how long was Mariota there? 3 years?
He's been there since Jameis Winston has been in Tampa Bay.
Okay, yeah, that's about 4 or 5. God.
That's crazy, right, people? So allow me to continue. Coming in at number 3 was the quarterback I personally forgot that we had. I'm not even gonna lie. I forgot that we had this man because I was so used to him in Seattle. I forgot he was in Tennessee, and I forgot about
Oh,
this.
yeah. Yeah.
Matt Hasselbeck,
Yeah.
ladies and gentlemen, comes in at number 3 within his first 16 starts. This man has 518 pass attempts, 319 completions, a completion percentage of 61.6, with 3,571 pass yards, 18 touchdowns, 14 interceptions, 82.4 quarterback rating.
So, Ryan Tannehill, what is his contract right now?
Ryan Tannehill's contract. Allow me to look that up for you guys right now. Let's see. Hold on.
Because I think he could mess around and actually get like another, not another. He could just get a big payday. Because I don't think he's had one. I don't think he had one in Miami, did he?
This man, yeah, I don't think so. Because I'll tell you, this man has a 4-year deal with us at 118 million.
Okay,
62 million guaranteed, with 91 million in total guarantees and an average annual salary of 29.5 million.
You know what? Tennessee may have. I don't want to be living in the moment, but I don't want to seem like recency bias or anything like that. But Tennessee may have like stolen Ryan Tannehill. Like that may have just been like, what did you guys trade for him?
You know what?
Because
He
that's going to
wasn't
even
traded.
tell
That's the
be more
thing.
telling. Like that might be
He
thievery right
actually
there.
that's the thing. He wasn't traded. We signed him in free agency as the backup.
Oh, that's right, to Mariota.
Hmm. And then he took over
Oh,
the keys, and he's been there ever since.
bro. You
Currently
know
starting.
what? Congratulations, man. Congratulations.
Oh, this trust me, this was news to
And how old
me.
is he?
Ooh, that is a good question. Let's look that up on Ryan Tannehill's age. I know he's still a fairly young quarterback in his own right. Let's see. Ryan Tannehill is 32 years of age. So he's right in his prime. That might
Yeah, that's
explain.
not bad, bro. That's not
That
bad, man.
explains it. Off a
He'll
4 year
be,
deal.
yeah, he'll be what, 30, 35, 36 by the time that contract's up.
And we know quarterbacks, they have the longest lifespan. He could still ball like this at 40, possibly. You never know. You never know. As long as the system remains intact,
I'm
you
not
never
mad
know.
at it, bro. I'm not mad at it. Tennessee did the right thing by signing him. I was kind of skeptical at the when they signed him to the contract. I was kind of
I
skeptical at
was
first,
not.
but
Me too.
seeing what he's been able to do, because I thought it was just that was sheer luck and laying ass.
And let's remember,
There's no way.
that was also before they did this, before they gave Derrick Henry his contract. So
Right,
this is
right.
it's
Yeah.
crazy. And this is where these rankings get even more crazy. Believe this. Believe me on this. Coming in at number 4, arguably the greatest Tennessee quarterback
I was just
in the
about to ask about him.
franchise,
Yeah.
Steve McNair, within his first 16 starts. Now, imagine this in comparison to Tannehill. Within Steve McNair, the only QB to take the Titans to a Super Bowl. This man's pass attempts in his first 16 starts, 405, with 224 completions, 55.3 completion percentage. Check that out. 3,067 pass yards, 17 TDs, 11 interceptions, with a rating of 82.4.
That's crazy. And let me ask you this. Next to your fantasy draft, you draft you draft your quarterbacks around like what round, depending on where you're placed.
Mhm.
Sometimes people draft about like round 3 or 4, 5 somewhere, and that's when they start going.
And it
Where are
usually
you
depends
drafting
on the
Tannehill?
quarterback.
Yeah, where are you drafting Tannehill?
Honestly,
Because he's proven it now. So
he
where you
has
drafting him?
proven it, because even last year, because he's riding his wave from last year to now. So
Yeah,
this is not
yeah,
just oh, he's just doing this year. No,
yeah,
he did this last year too. Now,
yeah.
a lot of people will be like, "Oh, that was Derrick Henry," but it's like they slept on the fact they were sleeping on Tannehill because of Derrick Henry doing what he's doing. Now this
Right.
is the year where he gets to showcase it on top of what Derrick Henry is doing.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd say he's easily about a fourth, fifth rounder at this point.
I'm not
Because
mad at it.
take in mind, of course, you got your Lamar Jacksons, you've got your Patrick Mahomeses, you've got your now Kyler Murray's, because he's on everybody's radar at this point. You
Mm-hmm.
know, so I mean, yeah,
Russell
he's
Wilson.
Russell Wilson, exactly. So he's up there. He's definitely, like I said, I'll put him easily top 4. I would have had Dak in that too, but given the fact of his recent injury, we don't know what he'll look like coming back. People may be skeptical to draft him because they don't know what he's going to look like coming back yet. Will he be the same? We'll see. But easily, yeah, round 4, round 5 tops for sure.
I'm not mad at it. Because that's the thing. Like, do you draft him as your starting quarterback or do you draft him as your backup quarterback?
I definitely say draft him as your starter. I mean,
I'm not mad at
the
it
young
either way.
core, the young
I'm not
core that we
mad at it
have
either way. Yeah, because
now.
that's
It
But
also depends on what type of league you're into, though.
yeah,
So if you're in a PPR league, for example, well, then as long as this man has AJ Brown,
yeah,
now Corey Davis is arguable because he hasn't really made his case on if Tennessee is going to keep him. I got to look up his contract situation. But given the fact that he was a first rounder, he doesn't necessarily give you, he could be replaced. They could keep him. It kind of depends on management. AJ Brown is a lock because the
yeah.
big three is AJ Brown at the receiving core. You've got Tannehill now at QB, and you've got Mr. Derrick Henry at running back. So every other piece, I mean, Jonnu Smith, now that's a piece you definitely keep.
Yo,
So
I like him.
yeah,
I
he's
like
a
him.
piece you definitely keep.
Yeah.
So with those type of weapons, the Adam Humphreys and the Khalif Raymonds and all of that,
Mm-hmm.
like
Mm-hmm.
this team, I definitely say yes. You draft that man as a starter for sure. Um, but if it, depending on who you picked up, let's say, okay, for example, if you managed to get Lamar Jackson, obviously you'll start Lamar and you'll
Mm-hmm.
have Tannehill as your backup in the event that Lamar gets hurt or in the event of, just a bye week. Let's say Lamar's killing it all year and you just need somebody for your bye week, insert Tannehill, and it's like you never left.
Right.
And then maybe
So
use him as trade bait for somebody who may need a QB.
yeah, and you know what? I think I'm gonna definitely target him as my backup. Like
I
he,
wouldn't be
he's
mad at it.
he's definitely gonna be my target.
I would not be mad at it, sir, because honestly, it's either he's going to be depending on who you draft as your starter.
Mm-hmm.
Either
Because I
he's
always
going to
try to get
be.
the top one of the top guys. Because I average, excuse me, depending on like because the leagues that I usually play in are about like 10-team leagues.
Mhm.
Somehow, some way, I'm like always like in the middle of the pack,
Mm.
five, 4, 5, or 6. I'm usually somewhere in that range. So I like depending around like the first 2 or 3 rounds, I'm definitely targeting running backs, receivers for sure. Those are for sure. But by round 4, I'm already depending on where I am and who's already off the board. I'm already like this year. I think I targeted Patrick Mahomes. I think I have him in like 4 of my leagues.
Mm.
I targeted him like in the 3rd round, which is
Nice.
high. That is high for a quarterback.
Oh yeah.
But strategy wise, it helped. Like I was able to fill out while other people were, doing certain things. I was able to look at others, and while they were moved on to that, I could look, So like my defense, I drafted my defense
Hmm.
pretty high too. Not nowhere near round 4, but I definitely drafted I think around like 8 or 9
That's smart.
somewhere in
It's,
there,
it's it's
and
usually
then
smart to do
backup.
that.
My backup quarterback. This year was probably the most unique in draft because I targeted my backup quarterback. I think around 7 or 8, and like quarterbacks deep. Usually, that's probably like the deepest position where you don't really have to worry about it because if you get a backup, it is who it is. Because you most likely only have to play that backup quarterback like once or twice anyway.
Yeah.
Um, but I targeted around let's say 7 or 8.
Hmm.
Yeah, I got Drew Brees in one league.
There you go.
I got Carson Wentz. I got Tom Brady, Aaron
See,
Rodgers in like 2, 3 leagues. Yeah,
yep.
so
It's
it's
tough.
not it's yeah it's a big strategy,
Hmm.
but Tannehill is on my map now. He's on my radar in terms of who, and it's weird to say that because Miami Tannehill made no sense.
Yeah, yeah.
He
But
made no
but
sense to
but
draft at
but
all.
remember, Adam Gase was in that same Miami.
Adam Gase, yeah,
So it's the
yeah,
Adam Gase effect. Hence why, ladies and
yeah,
gentlemen, that's why You do not draft any quarterback that he is
Has to
running over.
coach.
Okay,
And I
make
know
that
he
known.
yeah, and I know he gave over the play calling duties, I think this past week.
Yeah,
If I'm not mistaken, I think they actually won this week, didn't they?
they almost did. That was the Bills
Almost.
they played.
Oh, that's right.
Unfortunately,
That's right. That's right. That's right.
the Bills.
But they played better this week. They played much better this week, which is because
A
he's not calling the
divisional game.
plays.
That's tricky. Divisional
It
games
is
always
divisional,
make them
yeah.
look
It is
better than what they
divisional.
are. You know, when
But
you know
the
a team.
fact that he wasn't calling the plays though, you see what I'm saying?
This is
It's
true.
that's the thing. I think was the biggest significance for them. So
That's
I
true.
don't know,
Like I
man.
said, and I mean, this is not even the I. Again, here's a quarterback that I forgettably don't forget about.
Hmm.
Notice how I said that in a twist.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
never liked this quarterback in our franchise personally. Couldn't stand him. Never got into him. Don't know why we drafted him, and he's very forgettable. Jake Locker at number 5.
Wow.
466 pass attempts, 271 completions, a completion percentage of 58.2, 3,223 pass yards, 18 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, rating of 81.5.
That's
If
wild.
that's wild, right? And hold on, like I
That's
said, it
wild.
gets it. Tannehill is light years of these people right now. So check this out. Number 6, a guy who I definitely won't forget because he led us to that oh so 10-0 start in that 13-3 season. Mr. Kerry Collins, old man Kerry Collins, with 481 pass attempts, 271 completions, a completion percentage of 56.3, pass yards of 3,044, 12 TDs, 12 interceptions, with a QB rating of 73.3. And
That's
now I know
crazy.
what you're thinking. I know what you're thinking after this one. Wait,
Yeah.
there's only one more name that hasn't been mentioned.
Yeah.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, one of my favorite quarterbacks. This blew me in my mind as well. But coming in at number 7, Vince Young with 400 pass attempts, 216 completions, a completion percentage of 54, 2,492 pass yards, 14 TDs, 14 interceptions, with a rating of 70.1. So again, I say, people, Ryan Tannehill, light years ahead of
Yeah.
any all-time franchise Titans QB.
But think about it too. Like a lot of these guys played in a time where it was more balanced. Like the pass was not
Yes,
as
yes. Vince Vince
pronounced.
Vince Young and Kerry Collins were in that era of running backs. They were in that era of where running backs were. There was a time where running backs were completely the center of an offense,
Yeah.
which is why
Yeah.
when they look at us today with Derrick Henry, they say that's that old school smash
It
mouth.
is.
There was a
Yeah.
smash mouth era, which Vince Young and Kerry Collins were a part of. The Chris Johnsons, the Lindell
Hmm.
Wrights. Speaking of which, that actually leads me to another interesting, ladies and gentlemen, I would never make this about my Tennessee Titans, but this is actually a football related question, so I have to ask this. Now, Derek, I don't know if you came across this tweet, but there's a former Tennessee Titans running back by the name of Chris Johnson,
Hmm.
CJ2K, who posted a tweet saying, very simple in this tweet, that the Titans have the greatest running backs of all time in their franchise. Now, upon sitting there and thinking about it, I almost wanted to say it was blasphemous, but then I thought about it and I said, you know what? He's actually on to something. Now, just in franchise, because we know there's tons of running backs. But when you break down these franchises, and shout out to NFL Network because they actually brought this up and they actually statistically went down the line. Now, one team they didn't mention was your Eagles. Now, I know your Eagles come pretty close. In a
Yeah.
Mount Rushmore, there's a top four.
Hmm.
So in your franchise history, who would you say are the Eagles' top four all-time running backs? Franchise history.
I mean, of course, you have to say LaShawn McCoy, Brian Westbrook.
Definitely those
Um,
two, for sure.
to be completely honest, I wasn't watching the Eagles before the Donovan McNabb era,
Before the dominant,
so
exactly.
I can't even tell you who else I would put up there. I mean,
It's tough, right?
I think Miles Sanders is on the trajectory of being there. Darren
Could be.
Sproles, if you want to say Darren Sproles, because he's one of he's got a lot of records with the Eagles.
Hmm.
Um, I'm not mad at it,
Hmm.
but Miles Sanders is the Miles Sanders is easily the best all around running back that we've had since LaShawn McCoy.
Hmm.
Um, I think for right now, I'll put LaShawn McCoy, Brian Westbrook. Um, I'll say Darren Sproles,
Hmm.
because he's got some stupid records, and I think Miles Sanders is on the trajectory of being there. It's literally just about getting that offensive line to get healthy. That's I think that's the biggest issue with Philly right now. That offensive line. Between that and I don't even want to talk about it, but
I know.
yeah, that's the biggest issue. So I think once that line gets all the way healthy, because
Hmm.
remember, we don't have Brandon Brooks this year. We don't have um what's my guy's name? God, I always do this. Um, God, I'm gonna be pissed that I'm blanking on his name later, but um, our line is banged up, and the
Hmm.
fact that we Isaac's Samalo went down as well.
Yeah.
Lane Johnson isn't healthy. He's got an MCL sprain. That I think he's actually trying to play this Sunday against the Cowboys. Which, if he does, you want to know if another season-ending injury is going to end up happening. If he gets back into that game too
Mm.
fast,
Mm.
his season's going to be done. Um, and then you got old man Jason Peters that can't. I mean, dude can't even block a fly at this point. I don't even know what the hell's wrong with him. Like,
I'm telling you,
but
man,
it's Miles Sanders would be on that list
on
though.
that list.
I think where he's going, he's on that. He'll be
Definitely
there.
right there.
He'll be there. Yeah, he'll be there.
It just goes, but
So
it's one of
I'm
the.
not mad at that Tennessee Titans comment though. I'm not mad at that.
It's an interesting state. I mean, there's been a lot of cases of and when you think about other franchises, I mean, off top, think of some different franchises and tell me if you can name four of their best all time running backs. Dallas, you've got Zeke right now, and that's even arguable because of the way he's been playing lately. You've
Bro,
got
when you
Emmett
get your
Smith.
money and do that, I I'm not putting you in that.
Mm.
So I'm not putting you in that. You don't get your money and then just stop playing.
But in
I'm not
today's
putting that.
era, him being labeled as a top back, of course,
Yeah.
the franchise is gonna look at him as a all-time top guy because I guess you could say he's been their best back since Emmett Smith,
DeMarco Murray had a really good time down in Dallas though.
a guy who's also
People
a
forget
part of
about
the
him.
Tennessee franchise. Keep that
Yeah,
in mind.
right after he came after he left
Right
us,
after
right?
that season, yeah, yeah. See, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So
Yeah, he
isn't
left
that?
us and then went because Chip Kelly didn't know how to utilize him. He always wanted to use him
I
west
remember that.
east would never
That's right.
never go straight up. Is always left to right. He would never go straight up the middle. It
I
was
do
the
remember
weirdest
that.
thing.
I do
Weirdest thing.
remember
I don't
that.
know how you utilize a guy like that and how you have a guy like that
It
and
actually would have
don't
been nice to
utilize it
have
properly.
him that year fresh off of Dallas. But I get why you guys would have gotten him. Like, hey, take
Yeah,
that,
it's a revenge
Dallas.
thing. It's a
Yeah,
revenge thing.
take that, Dallas.
that this week we in week 8 we have two matchups that are going to be like exciting to watch from start to finish. Pittsburgh Steelers, Baltimore Ravens,
Mm-hmm.
Eagles, Cowboys.
Mm-hmm.
Those are some fun games, and it's going to
Yeah.
be those are going to be hard hitting games. I don't know if it's going to be high. Well, you know what? I think in terms of in terms of being a competitive game, Baltimore and Pittsburgh is going to be significantly better because Dallas is just trash on defense. They are horrible. I think Carson Wentz is actually going to light them up this week. Plus, they getting Jalen Rager back. Dallas Goddard might be playing. I think Dallas is they're gonna get hurt. I think they're gonna get
Interesting to see.
hurt. But I think if Lane Johnson moves too fast, he's gonna be done for the season. I don't see how you I
Mm-hmm.
don't see how you do it. I respect the heart, but I wouldn't try that if I were him.
Yeah,
Just
man.
because we're on a bye week after that. Just let the sprain heal for 2 weeks and 3 weeks now after that, and then I think he'll be good. Just
Telling you, it's it's something, man. And like I said, it just goes to show again when you go franchise by franchise, it's tough to try to find a franchise that has
I,
a legit Mount Rushmore in
I'm
different
not.
eras too.
Yeah, I'm not
You
mad at
know,
that. I'm not mad at that.
it's. I mean, just to name a few, like you have Eddie George, of course, the ones that people know off top. You have Chris Johnson,
Hmm.
one of the few running backs to rush for 2,000 yards in a season, almost even beating Eric Dickerson's record. Had that
Yeah,
season
yeah,
stretched any
yeah,
longer, he
yeah.
was on pace to do
He
so.
was he was there. Yeah,
You had
yeah.
Lindell White, who was a 1-2 combination with Chris Johnson, right?
Hmm.
You have that season we had DeMarco Murray, Dion Lewis, and
Oh yeah.
of course, you can't forget Derrick Henry. So it's a lot that just
Well,
makes
and
you say,
he's talking about t- uh, uh, uh the Mount Rushmore of the franchise in general, right?
yeah,
I would like to see who has the better 1-2 punch.
hmm, interesting.
Because you remember when Atlanta had Devontae Freeman and Tevin Coleman,
True. I
like
remember
how
that.
crazy they were.
Yeah, yeah.
I would like if we might have to talk about that next week. We might
That's
have to
something to talk
sit
about
down and.
because that actually reminds me of again that Smash and
Hmm.
Dash era with Chris Johnson and Lindell White because Lindell White was your power back, could run it up the middle in red zone and goal
Hmm.
line situations. CJ was your man that you could just use elusively to get the big yardage, the big gains,
Yeah,
and just be,
yeah.
so yeah, no, I would love to see
We
what
might have to
everybody
break
can
that
come
down.
up with. That's definitely something to talk about. I agree.
Yeah,
That is something to
yeah.
talk about. So, real quick, as we get ready to wrap this thing up, I will open the floor up to say, given this week, seeing as how we already have a game currently going on and it's the start of week 8, give me your top 3 best games of the week you think are going to happen.
Okay, so definitely, definitely Pittsburgh and Baltimore. I think Patriots Bills. I think that's going to be very very intriguing. That's another divisional game. I forgot that's happening this week.
Mm-hmm.
Um, hmm. 49ers Seahawks.
Mm, okay. Yeah.
So 49ers Seahawks, Baltimore, Pittsburgh,
Mm-hmm.
Patriots Bills.
Mm, okay. Okay.
Yeah, those are gonna. I think those are gonna be the top 3 games this week.
So, from what I'm seeing right now, I am going to go with definitely Patriots Bills. I am going to go with, hmm, I'm actually gonna go with yes, Ravens and Steelers, of course. That's a given, definitely. And actually, I'm torn right now between Raiders Browns and Saints Bears. But you know what? I'm thinking I'm gonna go with Saints Bears. I think that's gonna be an interesting surprise game.
That's gonna be interesting. Nick Foles versus Drew Brees.
Mhm. With that
I think
Chicago defense that Drew Brees is up against,
yeah, yeah. I
I think that's got some potential to
is
do something there.
I don't know. Is that in New Orleans?
Actually, it's in Chicago.
It's in Chicago.
Yes, in Chicago.
If I'm not mistaken, I think this is the first time that Nick Foles has gone against. I could be wrong about this, but I think this is the first time he's gone up against them since we lost to the Saints. Um, what was that? I think that was to go to the NFC Championship the
Mm.
year prior. Knicks last year in Philly, where Alshon we had the opportunity to win that, and
Ah,
that ball just went through Alshon's hands.
yes. Okay.
I think this is the
Interesting.
first time. I think this is the first time he's faced him since that game. So it'll be intriguing. He's got some. Their offensive line is just horrible too. I, I
Yeah,
I don't know what to say about them, man.
I
I
know,
don't know.
man. I know. I
this
know.
is this is just this is oh man.
Uh,
I feel bad for the specific for certain teams that have these quarterbacks that are in these precarious positions because of offensive linemen that either can't play that are on
mhm.
the field, guys that are injured or guys that decided to opt out for the season.
Yes.
This season is is putting a toll on a lot of guys. You can see it.
Oh
You
yeah,
can see
yeah.
it.
It's a chokehold for sure.
Yeah,
But ladies and
it's a
gentlemen,
way to put it.
it's a way to put it. Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
chokehold, ladies and gentlemen. Ah, you never know what's coming next. But ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, as always, all good things must come to an end, and this is definitely the end of the sideline guys
Yes, sir.
for the week. Haha.
Yes, sir.
But
Yes,
not
sir.
for good. Haha. Didn't want y'all thinking that now. Therefore, by all means, Mr. Myers, tell the people where they can find you.
Yes, sir. So you can follow me, Derek underscore OTS DERRICK. Um, but more don't follow me. Follow the page, man. At OTS guys on all social media platforms. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Look for us on YouTube. We have a couple of shows. Parker Gailey, who is one of the hosts on Sideline Guys, will be the host of one of our new shows that is going to be strictly on YouTube. So be on the lookout for that. That will be coming out. I think he's excited to get that going. I think in the next week or so. So it's very possible you might be seeing that very soon. So
Very
be on the
soon.
lookout for that. And check us out www.otsguys.com. I'm getting better with doing that. I'm trying to learn. I'm trying to match up to you. But at the beginning,
Yeah,
I was really stumbling over that mess, but it's now getting a little smoother.
it's getting
It's
smoother.
like
It
yeah,
takes
it's like
practice, man.
ironing out. Yeah.
Practice makes perfect, ladies and gentlemen,
Yes,
as you
sir.
know. But as Derek Myers mentioned, you can follow your boy on Instagram at Dwayne Dickey Jr. That is my Instagram page for my hosting and things of that. Some music, but mostly for those of you who are into music, I am an artist as well in my spare time. So if you want to follow that, you can check out Highlight Life on Instagram and Twitter as well. That is Highlight Life, HILITE Life. But as Mr. Myers said, don't just follow me. Follow OTS. Tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend. Trust
Yes,
me, you
sir.
want to follow this movement. We got a future giveaway coming again. It's about
Yeah.
that season and about that time. So,
Yeah.
ladies and gentlemen, make sure
It
you
might have some.
subscribe.
It might have something to do with a PS5.
Ooh,
You never know.
wait a minute.
You never
Did
know.
I just hear that right? It could be a PS5. It could be an Xbox Series X. You never know, ladies and gentlemen.
I
Stay
said it
tuned.
might have something to do with one.
Well, it might.
You
It could
might be
be
getting a
anything.
console. You might be getting a game. You might be getting a controller. You might be getting a online gift card or
Camera, a
whatever.
subscription.
You
There you
never know.
go.
You
You
never
never
know.
know.
You
So,
know,
ladies and
we're still
gentlemen,
ironing that out.
stay tuned. Okay. Make sure everybody, this is everybody, not just YouTube. YouTube. You already know what to do because we live, baby. So YouTube, if you're watching, if you've been streaming, you already know what the deal is. And even if you're watching the tape back, the playback, on YouTube, even if you're
Yes,
not
sir.
watching it with us live, again, as you watch this, you know what to do. Hit that subscribe button and then hit the notification bell. Select all notifications so that way you'll keep it locked and you'll know when we about to drop something to let y'all know when that giveaway come around and you can get that free item that might be a console, might be a game, might be a subscription. You never know, but you
You
got to
never
keep it
know.
locked in order to know. So if you ain't keeping it locked, you going to be a knot. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah,
We don't want
yeah.
you to be a knot.
Because we gave away those Jordans a few months ago, and there was the guy that won them, Romy. He told me that he had some people that were like, "Oh, you're not getting no free shoes." Jokes on them. He got some free
Got
shoes.
some free shoes, ladies and gentlemen. Fresh off the
So
presses, straight
yeah,
up to
yeah,
NYC, baby.
yeah,
We not
yeah.
playing around right here on OTS. We trying to let
Not at
y'all know
all.
this is legit. Okay. So for
Oh
my
yeah.
audio listeners out there, that applies to you too. Okay. Make sure you head over and you follow OTS, guys. Follow OTS, all things OTS. Okay. You can go on YouTube, youtube.com/on the sidelines, youtube.com. Now it doesn't have an official slash. So what you have to do, you play an important
Subscribe so
role
we
in that.
can get our official
Yes,
slash.
exactly. You have to subscribe so that when we get, YouTube wants a certain amount of subscribers. So when we get that certain amount, and we're getting there because we're on the road to 100, ladies and gentlemen. We are at 58 right
Yeah.
now.
59
So
now.
you 59 now.
Yeah.
See,
Yeah.
congratulations. Shout out to number
Yeah.
59. We are on the road to
Yes, sir.
60. Somebody out there listening, I need you. Yes, you to go subscribe on the sidelines on YouTube and become the 60th follower. No, you can't get anything specific, but we will shout you out if you let us know who you are. Okay. Trust me, every follow, every subscription matters. All right. So don't worry. Don't get discouraged if you don't get anything for being a 60th follower. You know what I'm saying? We're on the road to 100. When we get to 100, that's when we do something very, very, very special for our people there because every 100 milestone is something to do something for. That being said, ladies and gentlemen,
Sure.
if you are listening to us on Apple Podcasts, make sure you leave 5 stars. Leave a review. Let us know who you are, what you think about the show. Are we giving you great content? Are we being factual? Because that's kind of what we stand our foundation on. So, are we being factual? Are we giving you everything that you want to hear? Are we talking about the subjects you want to know about? Let us know so we can definitely be sure to tune up and be better and better every single week. Also, same thing goes for my Spotify aliens on Spotify out there. Make sure you hit that follow button. Keep it locked. Let us know. We are always dropping content week after week for you. And of course, YouTube, again, y'all already know what the deal is. Again, we are always dropping content for you guys. So just keep it locked, man. We got a lot coming up. Coming up on next week's episode, ladies and gentlemen, we have a very special guest that will be joining us on this very show on the sideline, guys. A NBA reporter by the name of Ashley Neville, ladies and gentlemen. So make sure, especially if you are an NBA head out there, make sure you come and check us out and check us talking and interviewing and discussing NBA and sports with Miss Ashley Neville, who will be joining us on the show next week. So, YouTube, make sure you're tuned in live because we will be live at 7 p.m. next week. I would like to shout out everybody on Six Families Radio. Shout out everybody that's been listening, no matter what platform you're listening to us on. We appreciate you. We thank you. Most importantly, we love you. And well,
Definitely.
at this time, that's about all I've got. That's about all my co-host has. So we about to go hit the sidelines. It's time to roll. Time out. Peace.